one of those things that, you really just block out so you can keep it moving and not have to be a fucking representative of, of your gender, of your race, where you're from. And so I was in class, I had like a new phone, but it was also like an old phone. I didn't know how it worked. So it was beeping, I'm trying to shut it off. And I don't really know how to shut it off. So I'm trying to figure it out, and I guess it was disturbing one of the students. So he turned to me, can you shut it off? And I told him, yo, I'm trying to shut this off. So it keeps beeping. I don't know how this phone is working. What phone is it? It's like an old Nokia. So I'm working, and finally, he turned to me, it was a little exchange, and I'm a little bit of a rude person. So he turned to me, and finally he said to me, something just because you came here on affirmative action. And I jumped up and I screamed at him to repeat it out loud to the classroom. Who I was, and me being at Brandeis, was threatening him. He was saying he was having trouble paying for school, he was paying for school on his own.
Yeah. And you say Shot City? Shot City.
Did you feel accepted?
Do you think about me now and then? Yeah. Do you think about me now and then? 'Cause I'm coming home again.
So I'm Erica Smith. I'm the director of the TYP, Social Justice Tradition. We're trying to figure out how to deliver educational equity.
So I'm Victoria Muteri.
Hi, my name is Janice Dalaman.
My name is Melissa Howard.
Hi, my name is Shayna Gilbert.
Hello, my name is Adora Paul.
The majority of students in the TYP are and have been students of color. That's not a distinction that the program makes.
And I heard tons and tons about Brandeis. I just knew it was my reach school. I knew I couldn't get into Brandeis.
I just had some thinking that I wanted change. I wanted to be part of a movement of making the world better for people who are less privileged. I told Erica, I work at Banana Republic now, and I hate it. I don't want to do that. I was getting D's in high school, but I'm taking a college class on my own.
It was because I never thought I could really afford it. And I've always heard about people going away, and that was something that I've always seen on TV.
Some points we see women being more dominant, more focused, more sort of about their business, so to speak.
I got here to Brandeis University, and what a culture shock it was.
I remember my dorm was just me and Shayna. Just the only black kids in that dorm. It was really a major culture shock.
It was definitely a culture shock for me because it's just that I'm so used to being in an environment where I've only seen people who has a Haitian background, Jamaican, Caribbean background.
It was a culture shock. It was a reality check.
The time I went home after being at Brandeis, I felt like I wasn't from New York anymore. My family would have their plenty of jokes oh, you fit in. My family's different complexions.
And then being an African girl, you're new to this country. First of all, I have an issue with being African. People place you into the category African. It's it's one country,
I think that when I talk about leadership, and I talk about leadership through life experience, for women in particular, there seems to be more maternal-like responsibility for students in the program. It is the female child that is relied upon to cook, to clean, to care for younger siblings, to run the household. And I've heard this over and over and over and over and over again.
Originally it was only for men, TYP?
Yeah, it was.
The first class was small. The first class was 9 students and it was 9 men. I've seen a lot of incredible women come through here, so glad that it didn't stay that way.
The women in TYP end up being the stars, the shiners, people who were the go-getters on the campus, and being leaders, being out there. And I see a lot of times that men end up falling back and not being truly part of the campus.
It was a little bit more difficult for me being a woman in TYP because it's I'm a minority, I'm a woman, so they have this view of who I am. You're here on TYP, so you're probably not that smart, but you're probably we'll see. So we'll see how you go. Majority of a lot of minority men that come through Brandeis, white girls are more attracted to them. My personal opinion. I feel that white girls are more attracted to them than a white guy would be attracted to me personally, or a minority woman personally. And it's just, I don't know why that is. If I would have to pick out an answer, pick out a thing, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just a sex thing. Maybe they just have the stigma, oh, black guys have bigger, like the opportunity to date a white man for a minority woman doesn't present itself as much as the opportunity for a black man to date a white woman, or for a minority man to date a white woman.
My TYP year, I feel like the women had it down, you know? I feel like we were strong. We were really, really, really strong. We were about our business. And if you look at the numbers right now, the women are still here. The men, you know, I feel like they have, I don't know, I feel like maybe there's a lot more pressure on them to prove themselves. I feel like if you have that support group with women, I feel like you can do whatever here, Brandeis.
The women make it more than the men. And the reason I say that is because I feel like the women might have more drive.
Like, I wanted people to meet me and see Adora and be like, oh, like, this is how black woman could be. She doesn't have to be this way, this way.
I guess people used to come to me and shame them for like the black opinion.
I personally made the decision that I'm not going to be anyone's representative. I'm Adora. That's it. That's all I was going to be. Like, things would happen always during finals.
Oh,
so really,
yeah.
you're telling me, like, you want me to write this paper, do this, and on top of it, go out and be a representative? And I wasn't into it.
So people are trying to get to know you as a black person. I'm coming in as an African girl. I like to identify myself as Ugandan. African girl who's going to represent the whole of Africa. If not, I'm this black girl who's going to represent all black people here. I'm even trying to get to know myself.
But at the end of the day, what I see is sometimes it's the fear of being known. There's some people I would legit meet. The next day they'd see me, walk right on by. For me, my default is like, is it my race? Is it, like, what is it? Like, what happened? Because you also met Lucy, and you and Lucy are cool.
And I shoot in the culture section. In the culture section, this guy wrote a poem called I Hate You Thugs. He goes, I hate you thugs, and every time I see you walking down the street, I want to take off that scarf and choke you with it. And it was just basically giving a stereotype to thugs and who might. So now you're getting more specific into talking about a culture, more specifically a hip-hop culture, you know, which I feel that I'm a part of. I saw it, I was outraged, and even more so that my friends were bringing this attention to me. I'm like, yeah, like this is happening. I'm like, how can this thing happen at Brandeis, at a school that's supposed to be about social justice and it's supposed to be a liberal university? How can things like this get published? And so I felt offended. I'm like, well, my cousin could be considered a thug, and you hate and you want to choke him when you see him. If we allow stuff like this, if we allow this to happen, things will continue going on to happening.
I remember we were talking about black hair, and that day I lost my voice. That day in class I lost my voice. I was the only person there with black hair. It's pressure, man. And you don't have a voice? Can you imagine being the only one who can't speak? Yeah. And it kind of, and it was a weird situation because you don't want to be oppressed. You want to have a voice. You know what I mean? But you don't want to be the only voice. I feel like kind of going back to the civil rights movement, like when people didn't have a voice, it was a bad thing. Now we're starting to get a voice, but it doesn't help if you're the only voice. You need a chorus, you know what I mean? I can stand on my own 2 feet. I don't have a problem with that. But it would be nice, just in case someone tries to push me, I have someone to catch me, you know what I mean?
They didn't know, like, they looked at things strangely at me, like my hair, if I braided it and I'm taking it out or I'm combing it, that kind of put me off. Because it's like, people were studying me. There was like this particular people, I'm not going to name names. They studied us a lot. It was like this strange world. Hair, can you imagine that? But
when I go home, it's not, everything does a 360 and changes. I have to walk in the street, guys hollering, oh, let me talk to you, da da da. It's the way they treat women over there, how they speak to women over there, I don't appreciate it. Sometimes I feel like I can't even relate to my family anymore because just their way of thinking no longer coincides with the way I think. I feel as if, you know, Brandeis has changed me and it has kind of changed me for the better. but at the same time, when I go back home, everybody thinks that I'm different. I become the outcast.
So it's like you have to do double work with your identity. Once you leave Brandeis, you got to be a black person, regardless, you know? And then when you come back here, you have to kind of tone it down so you don't get stereotyped.
And I hate that I have to prove that I'm black. I've never been considered white, ever. And I think because I appear, even though like I say I'm black, I appear Puerto Rican. I appear Latina. So where the hell do I fit? Do I hang out with the black kids? Do I hang out with the Latina kids? Or do I sit in the middle somewhere? You're definitely a minority. We just don't know which one you are.
I wish that more people, like more minorities came in through like regular admissions. If you see a person like, you know, a person of color, you're like, oh, so what are you? Are you a Wheaton scholar? TYP. You gotta be bossy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you weren't like...
I'm okay.
The awareness for TYP definitely needs to be raised. While I don't feel that it is the answer, I feel that it is a part of the answer.
How I can be part of like a systematic change, like in a world that's really about like oppressing people.
It's not something that an application would capture. It's not something that an SAT score would capture. It's not something that the GPA captures.
My time may be a little bit more difficult because I am a woman of color. They study their sociology classes and whatnot. Black women are kind of, well, minority women are kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, and white women, and then you have minority men, and then you have white men.
Just being part of a Brandeis community that's just trying to get some little ghetto kids and acculturate them, because that's what I feel like happened to me. That's how I changed from Brandeis. That I was acculturated into this community. Like, you can't, once you learn something, you can't get it out of you. So I'm here out in my professional setting now, and you know, I'm like dealing with the acculturation.
When you look at yourself, like change is very uncomfortable, but if you can survive change, just imagine what you can do. If I can survive Brandeis, I think I can survive anything. Yeah.
That's what Brandeis is all about, right? Social justice, breaking out of that comfort.
Yeah. And you say shots